How's it going, guys? Welcome to the timeline of Phoenix Suns channel, and we're coming at you with an analysis video today to change things up a little bit. My name is Sam, and I'm going to be talking about something that a lot of Suns fans have brought up to either myself or to Mike as a concern, and that's Devin Booker's ball handling and playmaking. First, let's note that Devin Booker has had a pretty miraculous development arc since he was first drafted to Phoenix in 2015. Booker came from a Kentucky system where he was primarily an off-ball shooter, so it shocked a lot of people when he started running pick and rolls with extreme precision at the NBA level, even as a teenager. By year 2 or 3, he was blossoming with Phoenix to the point that he became a de facto point guard in many lineups, even playing next to smaller guards. But this year, things feel different. While the Suns have been playing great, Booker is averaging just 4.3 assists to 4 turnovers per game. His assist numbers are down sharply, while turnovers have gone up a little bit. So what gives? Has Booker regressed as a playmaker? Is the fit with Chris Paul maybe not working? Or is this all just a blip in the road at the beginning of a long season? In trying to answer that, I first want to demonstrate the power of Devin Booker's playmaking. For a player with Booker's combination of skill and IQ, it would be an insult not to properly recognize his advanced ability to manipulate defenses in the way that few guards can, regardless of his overall assist totals. Here is just one example. This is a quick transition possession at the end of a half where Booker has to rely on instinct, and he fools the defense beautifully. Watch how Booker looks at Ayton as he begins to pick up his dribble, cluing in Donovan Mitchell to rotate as the tagger. Just as soon as Mitchell takes a step towards Ayton, Booker chucks the pass to an open Bridges in the corner, and it's an easy bucket. This is how many of Booker's early season assists have come, not from making the simple read, but from choosing the secondary option after an initial fake. We saw a ton of this in the Toronto game, with Booker using just his eyes to manipulate the Raptors into where he wanted them to go. When Booker starts going downhill after this screen, you can see his gravity in action, with the defense respecting both his mid-range and finishing ability. At this point, all it takes is one simple look at Mikal Bridges, and Kyle Lowry shifts his entire body's momentum, ready to dart out to the wing for a closeout. Little does Lowry know that Booker has instead decided on firing the no-look pass to an open Cam Johnson, and again, the Suns have an open three. This is not easy stuff to execute at full game speed. And I'll give you one more example just to demonstrate that shot fakes can be as helpful as pass fakes. Booker is a true 3-level scorer in a league that doesn't have very many of those anymore. When he stops on a dime in the nail area, Bogdanovic makes the rather aggressive decision to double. While Booker can make this shot and isn't afraid to take it, on this possession he opts for the open 3 instead. This level of defensive manipulation is not something to take for granted, but it also starts to explain where Booker may be running into some issues this year. In short, these types of passes are hard. They're often either no looks or made mid-air, and that simply leads to more turnovers. Here's an example of a no-look pass that probably didn't need to be a no-look pass, and the result is that it sails out of bounds. You can't say that Saric is at fault for this one, as Booker's accuracy isn't even close. But also, there has to be more to his slow start than just the difficulty of his passes. Could it be something to do with the roster composition? Let's explore that just a little bit. Clearly, if you've been watching, Booker and Ayton are not firing on all cylinders offensively yet, so that may be a contributor. Instead of assigning all the blame to either side, let's look at what both guys can do to be just a little bit better. For Ayton, it's all about rolling with conviction. He needs to prove to Booker that he is a trustworthy role threat capable of not only catching the ball, but also of doing something with it afterwards. This is a clip with CP3 and not Booker, but Ayton is doing the offensive spacing no favors by lethargically trotting to the mid-range area. He ends up with an inefficient, contested shot, exactly the shot that defenses want him to take, even with the lane wide open. And even when Ayton doesn't receive the ball, he can hurt spacing by just aimlessly standing around. In this clip, he needs to either fight for post positioning or come up to screen for Booker and give him a better driving angle. Standing there, slow to react, clogging the lane, doesn't help anyone. However, in Ayton's defense, sometimes he is in the right place, and Booker's passes are legitimately at fault. This is a good example of a well-executed double drag screen, with Ayton working to get good inside positioning on Millsap, and even with that perfect setup, Booker blows the pass and sets up a 5-on-4 going the other way. All of these little miscues are a problem because they can boil over into something greater, a fundamental lack of trust. This is harder to see objectively, but it is my personal belief that Devin Booker does not have as much faith in his starting big man as he could. On a play like this, you should be able to trust that your big man can accept that easy pocket pass and attack a mismatch with aggression. If you don't believe he's capable of that, however, you might hesitate. And hesitation is how mistakes get made and turnovers ultimately happen. Ayton isn't the only one whose synergy with Booker isn't perfect yet. Chris Paul's arrival has absolutely also shrunk Booker's assist total, and not necessarily for a negative reason. Suns fans have to remember that Ricky Rubio was a much different point guard than Chris Paul. He rarely looked to create his own shot unassisted, and as a result, 13% of Booker's assists last season actually went to his backcourt partner, Rubio. Fast forward to this season, and Booker has only assisted Chris Paul a total of 3 times in 11 games, making up just 6% of his assist total. Paul is simply much more likely to accept a pass, then slowly, methodically wear the defense down and settle for an ISO. This isn't necessarily a worse offense because it's Chris Paul, nor is it a sign that there's something wrong with Booker's playmaking. But what it does do is it hurts Booker's numbers. It brings down his assist to turnover ratio, and that can sometimes give people the impression that the problem is worse than it actually is. So, starting to wrap up here, let's circle back to addressing the main question: should we be worried about Booker's playmaking? It's a pretty subjective discussion, but in my opinion, the answer is no. Devin Booker is showing the same level of advanced playmaking that he's given Suns fans flashes of for years, and for that reason, I think these issues will work themselves out in time. That being said, it is not an automatic process, and building chemistry among teammates over the course of a long season is something that takes hard work. It is equally true that Booker needs to trust his teammates more heavily, and also that Booker's teammates need to earn his trust. If either of those things can't happen, we will continue to see some of these more frustrating breakdowns. That's all for me today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more Suns highlights and analysis. You can also check out our weekly Suns podcast. I'll drop a link to that in the description below. And last but not least, let me know your thoughts in the comment section on if Booker's early season play has at all concerned you. So long, until next time.